2024 recap, the festivals I went to, the places I traveled to, and unfortunately why this was the worst year of my life. It is currently January 11th, 2025, and I want to sit and do a recap of my entire year in 2024. Normally, this video that I do at the beginning of every year is rating the festivals that I went to in the prior year. Well, this video is going to be a lot different because 2024 was a roller coaster of events and emotions. And I had a lot of really high moments, a lot of fun moments, went to a lot of fun places, but also too, I had the lowest moments of my life, my darkest hours, heartbreaking moments that I'm still recovering from and will impact me for the rest of my life. And so just want to be completely honest, because this was unlike any other year I've ever had. I didn't go to 10 different festivals, so I don't have a bunch of festivals that I'm going to sit here and rate and recommend for you guys. And I also didn't really travel all over the world like I typically do either. But I'm here to just share the reality of my situation. Let's get to it. January 2024, the year honestly started off absolutely horrendously. The cat that I had for 11 years, her name was Lucy, I unfortunately had to put her down on New Year's Eve. Okay, so on December 31st, 2023, I had to put my cat down. I knew she was sick. She was sick for 2 weeks leading up to that point, unfortunately. New Year's Eve was the date that I had to put her down. So I woke up January 1st, 2024 without my kitty cat soulmate. That was my daughter. That was my little best friend. That was my little companion, my everything, my fur baby. So that was a pretty hard way to start the year. But there were some good things to happen in January. So I went on my second Groove Cruise. This time I was actually working with the Groove Cruise and Wet Travel team, and that was such an amazing opportunity. I had so much fun. So that was the first festival I went to in 2024 was Groove Cruise. And if you've never done Groove Cruise, I absolutely recommend it. It's a 10 out of 10 experience and for sure one of my top favorite festivals of all time. February was a pretty good month. I went to 2 different types of festivals. I went to Vibra Urbana, which is a reggaeton festival held in Miami. That was my second time going, and this time it wasn't as fun as the first time. Like, it rained like a torrential downpour one of the days, so I didn't even go. So I only went to one day of the festival. I'm not even sure if they're bringing it back, but it's an okay festival if you like reggaeton music. And then I also did the South Beach Wine and Food Festival. That was my very first time doing that. I loved it so much. So this isn't your typical festival. So in this video, I want to talk about all the different types of festivals I went to, not just electronic festivals, because I went to a lot of food festivals this year. And so the South Beach Food and Wine Festival was the first one, and it's comprised of multiple events all over South Beach, and they're very expensive things. I'm talking like $150 for 4 hours in like a buffet style like eating tent. So it's quite a lot of money, but food and drinks all included in the price of these tickets. So even though it's just like food and drinks, like it's unlimited and you can eat as much as you want. But I love the South Beach Food and Wine Festival, and I will gladly go again. In March, I did the Latin Festival that is held off Calle Ocho in Little Havana. This was my second year doing that. I love the Latin Festival so much. So it's free to go to. You just have to buy your own food and drinks, but it's 15 blocks of all like puro Latino vibes, and it's just so much fun, and you just seeing all the Latin flags everywhere. So highly recommend the Latin Festival. And then I also did Miami Music Week and Ultra. So I had a few friends come in and stay in Miami with me, Paulina and Izzy, and we did a few things. Like, we went to Afterlife, we went to a Malpe pool party, and then we did 3 days of Ultra, did the closing party at M2 with Eric Prydz. Like, Miami Music Week is my favorite year in Miami every single year, and I just love it so much. I know Ultra specifically is not everybody's cup of tea, but it is mine. I love Ultra. I'm on Ultra stan till I die, and if you've never done Miami Music Week or Ultra, give it a shot. So much fun. And you don't even have to do Ultra if you want to do Miami Music Week. Like, there's just so many events all over the city that make up Miami Music Week that you don't even need to do Ultra, but I love it. In April, I did My third Pride in Miami. I love the Pride Festival in South Beach. They just do it up so much. A week-long event, but I usually just do the weekend stuff. The weekend stuff is a 2-day festival and then a 1-day parade. And I love the parade. It goes down all of Ocean Drive, and I usually dress up in rainbow and fun makeup and stuff like that. And then the Pride Festival itself at Loomis Park is free. So you have to pay for food and drink, of course, but the entertainment and getting in and walking around, all of that's free. And Pride is just such a vibe in Miami. I love it so much. I also worked with Groove Cruise / the Wet Travel team to do the pre-sale. So what a pre-sale is, we take a trip on the ship for the coming year. So Groove Cruise 2025 is on Allure of the Seas. So I went with the Groove Cruise team on the Allure of the Seas in April. So it's a regular cruise. We're amongst regular passengers, and that trip is essentially just to like go and get content. I mean, everybody has a purpose, but like my purpose on that ship was to go and get content and help the content team. So that was such a cool experience too. For one, like I've never taken a regular cruise before. That was my first time. I've only ever done Groove Cruise as an actual cruise. So that was my first regular cruise. And let me just say, I will never do a regular cruise. They're so boring. To be able to work with Groove Cruise on a more intimate level, like I love that brand, I love that team, I love everything they stand for, so that was a really fun experience. At the end of the month, or I guess right before I went on Groove Cruise, I found out that I needed to move back to Austin, Texas. So I'd been living in Miami for 3 years, and I'm born, bred, and fed in Austin, Texas, and my whole family still is in Austin. And I found out that I needed to move back home to be there for my mom through some life-changing circumstances. Like I don't want to get into too many details. If you're one of my very close friends or my family members, you know everything of what I'm going through. In May, I actually made the move back to Austin, and I had just signed a lease to start my 4th year in Miami. So I was able to break my lease. I put all of my stuff in storage. I drove to Austin with whatever could fit in my car. That was a really hard thing for me to do because I love Miami so much. Like, I thrived in Miami. Living in Miami for 3 years was some of the best times of my life. And coming back home to Austin, like I was coming home for an amazing purpose, to be with my mother, and nobody forced me to do this. My parents didn't ask me, my family didn't ask me. It's a decision that I made on my own, but I knew that I had to do it, and I'm very glad that I did. But it was still hard. Like I gave up, I put a halt on my life. Leaving in May, I didn't know how long I was going to be gone, so that's why I put my stuff in storage and broke my lease. But the plan was to always go back to Miami. But it was a really hard and sad thing for me to go through, and I cried from the moment I found out I needed to move home, to packing up my apartment, the drive home from Florida to Texas, and even like my first 2 weeks in Austin. I cried. But once I got home, I absolutely knew like this is where I needed to be. June was my first full month back in Austin, Texas. I was sad, but I still just try to make the best of it. So Austin is a fun city. Like I do love Austin. Like I said, I'm born and raised here. There's a lot of people that live here, so I have a lot of friends here. I've made a lot of rave friends throughout the years that also live here right now, and everybody loves it. It's a great city. However, like living here your whole life, like you just want to go somewhere else. So there is a lot of fun stuff to do here. So in June, I went to Foodie Land Food Festival. I compared it a lot to the South Beach Food and Wine Festival, which those are two different things that should not be compared, but it was an okay experience. I don't need to do it again. In July was another full month in Austin. Nothing really major planned, but I did hang out a lot with Vibe with Aid. Thank you for being the summer MVP. If you're watching this, Aid, I tell her this all the time, that she like saved me and saved my summer, because I was sad. It was my first summer back in Austin, when normally I'm used to having the best summers of my life in Miami. But that girl, like I told her I was here, I was in Austin, and I'm like, please invite me to everything. And she did. And we went on like a shuffle boat cruise, and we spent 4th of July together, we went to shows. So I made the best of my situation in Austin, and thank you, Aid. I really appreciate you. In August, I went to Rome, Italy for Emily Dell's wedding. So that was the first big trip that I took of the year, which is unlike me, like to go 8 months into the year without taking this huge trip. Like I did do the Groove Cruise sail, but I mean, going to a whole nother country is just a whole different experience. So I have been to Italy before. It was cool to go back, but I didn't make like a big old trip out of it and stay in Europe for weeks at a time or anything, just because I had been to Italy before and a lot of Europe. So I went just for this wedding that was such a beautiful experience. Thank you, Emily, if you're watching this, for inviting me to that. And then at the end of August, I went to Creamfields in the UK. So Creamfields has been a bucket list festival of mine for forever, and that was my first big EDM festival since Ultra. So again, very unlike me that I wasn't going to all these festivals month after month. So that was so cool. I went by myself. I documented the whole experience, of course, and I loved it. I recommend Creamfields. It was overall just an amazing experience. In September, I went to Chingona Fest, which is a very low-key festival for Latinas and, you know, Latinos too, in Austin, Texas. I had never even heard of this. The thing just like popped up on my Instagram one day. So me and one of my friends here in Austin went, and it was all about like empowering Latin women. So it felt good just to be around so many women that look like me, of course, like the dark hair, the dark skin, and like I'm a Chicana. So if you don't know what that means, a Chicana means that I am American born, like I was born in America, but I'm of Mexican descent. So like my grandparents are from Mexico. So I wasn't born in Mexico, born in the United States of Mexican descent. I'm a Chicana. So it just feels good to be back specifically in Texas for that, because being in Miami, it's like puro Cubanos over there, right? Or a lot of Puerto Ricans, a lot more Caribbean Latinos than here in Austin, Texas, where there's definitely a lot more Mexicans, Chicanos, Chicanas, and it feels just good just being surrounded by my people. But I do love all Latinos, so don't take that the wrong way. But that was a fun little experience. And then I also went to San Diego for the very first time to go to my best friend's bachelorette party, Olga, and that was so much fun. I'm glad I was able to be part of that. In October is where things kind of came crashing down on me. Throughout the year, it's been a little bit of up and down, and you know, for a while, it just felt like life was just going up and I was able to travel again and go to festivals and just, you know, have all this fun. But in October, everything just came crashing down and my mother passed away. You know, I've already mentioned that I don't want to get into all the details of it. It's only been 3 months. It's still really hard for me to talk about. When that happened, I decided to shut everything down. Getting off social media and essentially still off. Like, this is only my second YouTube video that I've made since that happened. My last video that I made was Chingona Fest, right? It's January, she passed October 1st, and I just needed to shut everything down. I know people handle things very differently, and some people's first reaction is to go tell everybody on social media what they're going through and cry on camera, and that's not me. I'm much more of a suffer in silence type person, and I don't like to talk about the things that I'm going through as I'm going through them. So even now, being 3 months later, like, it's still very difficult for me to talk about. So I'm still not on Instagram right now. I'm still not on TikTok. I've posted one video on TikTok in this whole time, but yeah, I'm not ready to face the world. So I am off social media, and I also made the decision to cancel all major plans for festival and travel. I had a lot of festivals, you know, booked in October and November, and I canceled them all. Also made the decision to not go on Groove Cruise. In January 2025, I was contracted to go with them again, but I'm not ready to be on social media, so I decided to pass up that, you know, opportunity as well. And this is different. Like, my YouTube channel is different than being on Instagram posting round the clock, or being on TikTok and consistently posting. Like, YouTube is a little bit more of my safe space. So as hard as it is to go through such a devastating loss, especially the loss of a parent, life moves on, right? So for the month of October, it was like a dark void. There's no light. There was nothing happening. I just stayed home. But life does move on. And so I mentioned that I went to my best friend's bachelorette party in September. Well, her wedding was November 1st. I was the maid of honor in that wedding. And of course, I'm going to still pull through. My mother would have wanted me to keep going. She wouldn't have wanted me to just lay back and just completely ignore all of my obligations. So of course, I pulled through, even though my best friend's wedding was exactly a month after my mother's passing. Like, that's exactly where I needed to be in that moment, surrounded by so much love and light and comfort, when it could have been a really hard day if I was, at home. But also comes in November is Thanksgiving. So that kicked off like the firsts of holidays without my mom. So these last 2 months honestly have been really difficult. Going into December, it's my birthday month. It's also Christmas. So experiencing my first birthday and my first Christmas without my mother was absolutely devastating. New Year's eventually came around, and Alyssa and I, aka the Corporate Raver, we bought tickets to Anima's Sphere show in July, day one that they went on sale, and we got the New Year's Eve show. And so I was like, I'm gonna keep that's the one plan I'm not gonna break. I'm gonna keep that. I'm gonna stay committed to it. I started the video saying that I put my cat down on New Year's Eve the year before, so I was like, I need this year to be over. I'm gonna start off 2025 on the highest note that I can think of, and that's being with one of my best friends in the world, Alyssa, watching one of my favorite artists in the world, Anima, at one of the coolest venues in the world, the Sphere. So I absolutely made it my mission. I was like, I'm gonna stick to this trip and do it no matter what, and I'm so glad that I did. And so as you can see, my year was a lot of ups and downs, a lot of devastating blows, life-changing circumstances that are going to impact me for the rest of my life. It is what it is. I started this year with this vision of all these festivals and countries that I wanted to go to, and that's just not how life panned out, and that's okay. I'm where I'm at and where I need to be for a reason. So right now I still am in Austin, Texas, and it's not something that I wanted to talk about early on. I kind of mentioned that I'm a suffer in silence type person, and that I don't like to talk about the things that I'm going through as I'm going through them. And people say all the time, like, oh, social media is a highlight reel and people need to be more real. I absolutely keep my social media a highlight reel, and because that's what I choose, right? Privacy is very important, and you don't need to share every detail of your life online. And yes, I'm speaking about what I'm going through now, but as it was happening, I wasn't going through that. A lot of people don't, if you're not a close friend of mine or like a family member, you don't know that I moved back to Austin in May. So I try to keep a lot of things private. I do share a lot of my life, but when it comes to traveling and festivaling, that's the kind of content I want to share with you guys. My channel is based on festivaling and traveling, and this year I didn't really have any of it. I did, but in little spurts. So just wanted to be honest and kind of give a recap on what happened to me this year. 2025 is a new year. It's already off to a great start, and I've just had things kind of take a shift and some new amazing opportunities come my way that it feels like I'm finally catching a break. So I really do have a lot to look forward to in 2025. I'm so excited. I'm still hurting. I'm still heartbroken. I'm still grieving, and I'm still healing. But that's a part of life, and that's a part of our journey here on Earth. Not everything's going to be perfect. And I do have a lot of plans for 2025. I'm going to put that in another video of all the festivals and countries that I want to go to this year. I was about to say next year, but this year. But in the meantime, I'm hanging in there. So thank you if you're somebody that has gone through all of this with me and has known about everything that's been happening in my life. Thank you for the love and support. We'll see what 2025 brings us.